Shalom, family, and welcome to another lesson of the raw, undiluted truth of the scriptures. Before we begin, family, and today's lesson, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you will never miss when a new teaching is released, okay? Your support helps this message of truth reach more souls who hunger for understanding. Let's begin. So today, we pull back the veil and the passive Messiah invented by the West and rediscover Yahawashi Mashiach, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. To understand the commands of Yahawashi Mashiach, one must first strip away the Greco-Roman Babylonian influence, Christian. Yes, we must strip away all the Christian mindset, the Christian thinking, and the Christian lens that promotes a doctrine of passivity and total weakness. This doctrine, family, has been used for centuries upon centuries to keep the true Hebrew Israelites, the black people of the diaspora, in a state of psychological servitude. And they have done a very good job of it. Look around the world. Look at our people. But praise Yah that things and times are changing and prophecies are being fulfilled, and our people from the four corners of the earth is waking up. What if I told you that one of the most quoted teachings of our Messiah is also one of the most misunderstood? For centuries, Matthew chapter 5, verse 39 has been interpreted to mean that believers should simply accept abuse. We should remain silent even in the face of oppression and never taught to stand up for ourselves. But is that really what Yahawashi meant? Was our Messiah teaching us weakness? Was he telling his followers to become victims? Well, to understand Matthew chapter 5:39, we must step out of modern Western mindset and enter the world of first century Judea, a world where honor and shame determined social status, where a slap carried a deeper meaning than physical pain. Let me repeat that. A slap during our ancestors' time, where a slap, it carried a much deeper meaning than just physical pain, and where Yahawashi was teaching the scattered Hebrew Israelites how to reclaim their dignity while they were still under oppression. Today we're going to uncover the cultural text, the context behind it. Turn the other cheek. What does it mean? And discover why this passage is not a call to passivity at all, but it is a call to be courageous and also kingdom resistance. Stay with me because what you're about to learn may completely change the way you read Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 39. And when we examine the scriptures, specifically this verse, we must look at the cultural and legal context of the true land of Canaan, the Ethiopian highlands, and this was during the Roman occupation. We will examine how people stripped of their land. Yes, that was our ancestors, stripped of their land, their language, and their identity, and are commanded to walk in power and dignity while dwelling in the lands of their captivity. So prepare your mind For the traditions of men are about to be shattered by the word of the one and only our King, the only true King, our Elohim Yahweh. Now let's look at Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 39, and it reads, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you not to resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also." Now let's look at the scriptural context. To the modern mind, this sounds just like a call to be a doormat. Just turn the other cheek. However, Yahawashi was speaking at the time to an oppressed, yes, he was speaking to an oppressed people under the boot of the Edomite Roman power structure. He was providing a method of righteous defiance, not cowardness. We are never taught in Torah to be cowards. No. And the geography of this cultural setting is to understand the words of Yahawashi Mashiach. You must first correct the map. The events of the New Testament did not occur in the arid small strip of land in the Middle East, a term invented by the British and Americans to facilitate the 1948 Zionist occupation. The true Jerusalem sits in the heights of the Ethiopian highlands, but that's another teaching. When Yahawashi spoke to the crowds, he was speaking to a black African people under the military occupation of the Roman Empire, which is the fourth beast of Daniel. And the Romans were Edomites who had adopted a European identity. And when a Roman soldier or an Edomite tax collector struck an Israelite, it was not merely a physical assault, family. It was a legal assertion of master over slave. And if we look at the mechanics of the slap, in the ancient Israelite culture of East Africa, the right cheek is a specific detail that cannot be overlooked. To strike someone on their right cheek using your right hand, the hand used for social interactions, you must strike them with the back of your hand. And a backhand slap was not an attempt to injure, it was a gesture of extreme humiliation used by a superior to discipline an inferior. A master to a slave, for example, or a Roman to a subject. It was meant to put you in your place. And I think that's been practiced as we speak today. People always want to put us in our place. So, by turning the other cheek, the Israelite was not saying, "Hit me again because I am weak." No. Rather, by offering the left cheek, the person makes it impossible for the aggressor to slap them with the back of the hand again. To strike the left cheek, the aggressor would have to use a closed fist or an open palm slap. And in that culture, an open palm slap was only used between equals. Now, can you see the picture? So, therefore, by turning the cheek, the Israelite was silently saying, "Your attempt to humiliate me as I failed, I am your equal. If you hit me again, you must acknowledge my humanity and my status as a man." It was a way to strip the oppressor of his power without resorting to the carnal violence that would bring the weight of a Roman law, bring it right down upon the believer. So when we see in Yahawashi in Matthew chapter 5, 38 to 39, and we just read it, when he said, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and both and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you not to resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. And as we discussed previously, the right cheek implies a backhanded slap. This is the slap of a superior to an inferior. That was what it meant then. The Babylonian Talmudic rabbis, whom we reject, and modern Christians both misunderstand this scripture. In the Israelite Commonwealth, this was a law for the judges to ensure that the punishment did not exceed the crime. It was a limit on vengeance. However, by the time of Yahawashi, the Edomite Roman system had stripped, yes, they did, they stripped our Israelites' ancestors of their legal right to strike back against their occupiers and their oppressors. And if you look around the world today, especially in the US, if a black man do the same crime and the oppressor did exactly the same crime, you can guarantee that your Hebrew Israelite brother or sister will get a longer sentence than the oppressor who did exactly the same crime, if you get my meaning. And so we need to look at the Hebrew perspective of the cheek. And the word for cheek in the ancient tongue is lachi, meaning the root refers to the jaw or the cheek, which means the place of strength and speech. Yahawashi was teaching the remnant how to maintain their dignity while living under the times of the Gentiles. And we still need to do that today. Contain and maintain our dignity. We don't have to stoop. Let them tell us how we should live and behave like them. And so that's why sometimes they're afraid of us, because of what they have done to us. They believe that we will respond in the same wicked and evil behavior that they did. But we are instructed by our King, no. This is consistent with the instructions found in the canon and the wisdom literature, such as Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, which emphasizes discipline and wisdom over reactivity. In this, we still see righteousness. Let us look at the Hebrew word for righteousness and justice, what it really means. And it means to be straight, to be just, or to be in right standing. So by turning the other cheek, family, you're not a coward. You're not told to turn the cheek because you're weak. No, you are acting in righteousness. You are refusing to be an inferior. You are then in a position forcing your oppressor to acknowledge you as an equal. And Yahawashi continues in the same chapter, Matthew chapter 5, now verse 40, and it reads, "And if anyone wants to sue you and take your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well." In Israelite law, as we'll see in Exodus chapter 22, verse 26, 27, the outer garment, if you read that passage, the outer garment was a person's last shred of dignity, their bed covering. By giving it up, you would be standing naked in the court. In the ancient African context, the shame of nakedness fell not on the naked person, but guess who? It fell on the one who caused the nakedness seen. And we can see that in Genesis chapter 9, verses 27 to 20. Let me read. "And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk and became uncovered in his tent." Verse 22. "And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be who? Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May Elohim enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Did you see that? So Yahawashi, we see in Matthew chapter 5, verse 40, was teaching when he says, And if anyone wants to sue you and take your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. It was a form of social protest that shamed, not you, but shamed the oppressor and exposed their greed to the entire community. We, the true Israelites, the black people scattered via the transatlantic slave trade, are currently in the tail end of the 400-year prophecy. And in Genesis 15, verse 13, we'll read, Then he said to Abram, Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. We have been taught by the Western world of Christianity to keep turning the cheek as a form of surrender, no matter what your oppressors is doing to you, the wicked things they do and is still doing to our people. Delete them, deleting our boys and our girls. Our oppressors, in most cases, is never found guilty. But the Christian church is teaching we just keep turning the other cheek. This teaching is a lie. We have the deception of the Christian pacifism. Modern Christianity, headquartered in the spiritual Babylon of the Vatican, has twisted this into turning the other cheek. A pacifist is a pacifist doctrine to ensure that the true Israelites do not rise up or claim their heritage. They want you and I to accept abuse without any question. But our Messiah, Yahawashi, was a revolutionary of the spirit. He was showing that the kingdom of Yahweh is not moved by the provocations of the Edomite system. We see this same picture in the Torah, while the eye for an eye, which is written in Leviticus chapter 24, verses 19 to 20. Let's read. And the Torah establishes it like this: If a man causes disfigurement of his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused disfigurement of a man, so shall it be done to him. This was a law for the judges to ensure proportional justice. Yahawashi was teaching the individual how to transcend the cycle of Babylonian street justice and moved in the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. Family, we are to turn the cheek as a sign that our souls are not conquered. We do not use the carnal weapons of Babylon, for our weapons are spiritual weapons, as you can see in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. And it reads, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in Elohim for doing what? Pulling down strongholds. We reclaim our identity not through collective group of deities in ancient Mesopotamian or mythology worshipped by Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and the Babylonian deceptions of the Yahawashi false names. No, but through and the return to the commandments of the Most High Yahweh. Do not rely on the interpretations of those who have historically sought to keep our people in chains. Study your identity. Recognize that as a descendant of the biblical Israelites, your conduct must always reflect the royalty of your lineage. Turning the cheek is an act of spiritual warfare. It is the refusal to be defined by the hatred of your oppressor. And you can take this further studied as well. If you look in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 30, it reads, "Let him give his cheek to the one who strikes him. Let him be filled with reproach." And that was a prophetic of the Messiah's endurance. We also see in Sirach 4:28, "Strive for the truth unto what? Unto death, and Yahweh shall fight for you." We don't need to be like our oppressors. We need to look at what we have learned from this family. Yahawashi was not teaching our people to become doormats. He was not instructing the oppressed to surrender their God given dignity. No, he was not. Instead, he challenged them to respond to humiliation in a way that exposed injustice without becoming consumed by revenge. And I know we have been there, done that. What has been done to us, you feel like taking revenge yourself. But no, Yah is the one who fights our battles. He sees everything, and He promised us in the word that our oppressors will be getting double of what they did to us. So all we have to do is expose their injustice without becoming like them and be consumed by revenge. When someone struck another on the right cheek, it was often a gesture of insult and superiority, not simply an act of violence, but offering the other cheek. The victim forced the aggressor to see them as an equal human being rather than an inferior. This was a radical act. It was not retaliation. It certainly was not submission, but to demonstrate dignity. The Messiah was teaching the kingdom responses that broke the cycle of hatred. The world said, "Strike back." The coward says, "Do nothing." But our King, our Yahawashi Makashiach, says, "Stand firm in your dignity while refusing to become what your enemy wants you to be." We are not like them. We will never ever behave like them. And that message remains just as powerful today. Whether we face personal insults, injustice, discrimination, or hostility because of our faith or because of who you are, we are called to respond in a way that reflects the character of our King, not with vengeance, and certainly not with weakness, but with wisdom, courage, and righteousness. And we look in Romans 12:21. It reminds us, Romans 12, verse 21. But it says, "Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good." The kingdom of Yahweh is not about surrendering your dignity. It's about reflecting His righteousness in every circumstance. Do not take my word for it, family. Take the word of Yahawashi. I charge you today to follow the divine order. Go first to Yahweh your King in prayer. Then search the scriptures with diligence. Do not be deceived by the 1948 counterfeit state or the false maps that place our heritage in the Levant. Our home is in the islands of Zion, and our King, Yahawashi, is coming to regather us, the true black repentant house of Israel, extremely soon. So, family, stand firm in truth, for the firmament above you declares his handiwork, and the earth beneath your feet is stationary and secure under his footstool. If you enjoyed this teaching, family, please take time to like, subscribe, and share this video lesson. Share it, please, with someone who has struggled to understand this passage, okay? Until next time, continue seeking truth, continue searching the scriptures, and remember who you are. May the Ruach HaKodesh lead you into all righteousness. Until the next lesson, shalom.